about that time, lunchtime. And you know, this lunchtime gonna be about the usual. I'm showing you it. It's right there in your face. So I ain't gotta make believe or make you believe. I ain't gotta do none of that. It's right there for you to look at. Well, I don't want to run nobody over though. I'm going backwards. Gotta get home to my son. Why is the police here? I ain't thinking about the police. They must be putting something up for some reason. Yeah. They must be putting up a detour. Okay. Yeah, they putting up a sign. They must be having some 5K or some crap going on. Let's get back to this nonsensicalness in this moment. Now, I've been asking a lot of Caucasians about what they think that the point of this is y'all doing, of arguing freedom of speech, and what you think it sounds like when you have to promote your agenda on a public platform, and you may have things in this world that you may disagree about. Now, Charlie Kirk, rest in peace. But where's the agenda that we can't speak on the same platform of speaking? If I want to have an open conversation or open dialogue with somebody, Charlie Kirk is not the only one who started that. There was the Rush Limbaugh. He passed away, right? He ain't here on earth no more. The Glenn, he started a whole firebrand. How all of a sudden that when a politician, he gets to say what he wants to say, become the president, he becomes the president, and now he wants to censor someone's speech? Fine. Said that part. Now here's the other part. You can continue to ignore the map that I'm posting to your map, but Josh Shapiro ain't got nothing to work with his constituents, because the taxpayers in this state is a large swath of people. You have from one side of the state to the other side of the state that's producing natural gas, fracking, and all these other sorts of things. But at the end of the day, those type of people have wives. These wives and these children need medical attention. So it doesn't matter what you know or you don't know. But that map shows you what 80% and 100% looks like. The reason why those numbers are so important, and why he's willing to talk to Schumer and Jeffries while everybody's screaming leftist and right. Leftist and right don't have anything to do with your regional zip code when I need to get your parents' health care. This is just a logical conversation that 100,000 students wouldn't even care about when you went to his funeral. This is things that you ain't talking about when you hear that you ain't supposed to forgive and you supposed to hold anger and animosity towards somebody. If that's the case, let's just make sure that your constituents be pissed off, because you know open enrollment starts in October. So we right here, open enrollment booming. We are here now. Open enrollment is official. So you got open enrollment right there in your face. There's nothing you can hide about open enrollment. If you take away the expansion credits that we, the taxpayers of America, have afforded you with, and we want you to afford the people in those regions the same amount of care and hospitality that we all would like to have. But since y'all are not ignoring the fact that this individual had you so consumed on church, because the pastor even said, y'all more worried about other people than yourself. That's just last month we was talking about helping other people. Now we so consumed in making sure we get a congregation, we need to become isolated in our train of thought and not have an open mind and be able to think for ourselves. Now, this is why people question, like the police officer said, when the cops got killed up there, God rest their peace, they saw that they didn't deserve to get shot like that by one of their own. He had the audacity to say, which freedom of speech now lines with it. The officer said, the DA, whoever the guy was from the police officers in central Pennsylvania, said, and today was the day I had to question, is there a God? Wow! You think freedom of speech in America, the Christian state, would allow that? Such a profound. But he wasn't speaking from his hate. He was speaking from his heart in a moment of undesirable pain. He was probably lost in the sauce and didn't know what to say. but he wished if there was a God that he could pick up the phone and talk to, he would ask him, why did he take his friends away? So that's why he said it. So freedom of speech is not just the words that come out your mouth, but it's the thoughts that come into your brain when you're able to come together and put those words together. So how in the fuck, just like that, y'all ain't seeing that this map is screaming, oh, y'all gonna get somebody hurt. Yeah, this is going to turn into why you think gentrification is such a big thing. See, this is what words matter. Gentrification isn't a special word. Gentrification is something that they're doing so they can keep their bottom line safe. If the land isn't there for them to live on, if the water's too high for them to build on, if we gentrify an area, we can bring the people in the masses. So if you quell their voice in democratic states, you can now flip those seats into democratic republics where you can have Republicans in a democratic area misleading individuals because you lean moderate or you lean into the center and you speak for the Ross Straver Westmoreland County, not the Allegheny County line. Because see, the people in Westmoreland and Ross Straver, they on that state line. They on that state line. And when I tell you that state line means something, it does when it comes to a zip code. That zip code is everything. Because that zip code can get them care in West Virginia or Ohio, but they live in Pittsburgh. They live in Pennsylvania, but they live on the state line. Well, if you live on the state line, you live in a certain area where that individual can't get health care. So this map is because the West of Pennsylvania helps pay enough into it, the incentive of the Affordable Care Act, the licensing of the Affordable Care Act, allows Pennsylvania to infuse money into West Virginia by incentivizing the sale of UPMC's health care plan. So when you see that 80% and 100%, that dictates and it been the issue with the expansion. You got to help the people that's inside your conglomerate. You wouldn't get a vote. Point blank period. Doesn't matter if you're in Zelienople, Cranberry, etc., etc. If you didn't help your people in your conglomerate, you wouldn't be able to mass produce these elections like you're doing. So at the end of the day, you look at this map, and this map shows you 80%, 100%, 80%, 100%, meaning that the states that's beside them, they're infusing an incentive to the salesman. Why would I not broadcast salesmanship here? I am a salesman. I want my salesmen to become successful during the open enrollment. So if they're not being able to afford to sell you a plan, because you're going to hear your plan now is $155 a month. If your plan is $155 a month, it's not coming out your paycheck. It's coming out your Social Security check. Ain't nobody trying to hear that shit. Nobody. Ain't nobody trying to hear that their Social Security check gonna get cut 3 times as less as it was before. You gotta think about that. But they're not telling you that because when you're arguing, you're desensitizing people and making them talk about things like Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk could have been the best person in the whole wide world. The little kids that got killed, God bless their soul, by that boy that put a gun into the church. 100,000 people didn't go and mourn the lives of these future doctors, future lawyers, future anything. Nobody did anything to worry about those kids. But you want the working class people to not say anything about Jimmy Kimball and all the good he probably does in the community for children with autism. But you want us to believe that autism, not the air we breathe, not the water we drink in Clairton, you want us to believe that autism in the Mon Valley is because we take pain relievers to keep our jobs, to work these physical ass jobs in the Mon Valley. You want us to believe that painkillers are the reason why mothers can't get the services they need in rural America because you're cutting the tax credits that people can afford to have the monthly payments that they can have for their children. So they have to get a job in the city to afford the health care, but drive an hour and a half away and pay 3 different types of gas prices as they're traveling through these demographics. Because you got everybody to believe gas is cheap. No, gas is cheap in rural America. The reason gas is cheap in rural America, there ain't no damn jobs in rural America. So in rural America, you get away with saying there's no issue. But there is an issue. The issue is you keep telling people that gas prices are lower. Gas prices in the city of Pittsburgh is $3.55. Gas prices in Oklahoma is $2.00. You're talking about 2 different demographics. And how I can prove this by this map. This same map that people say there's cheaper gas is the same map that you need taxpayers from the other state to incentivize our health care so you can afford it. Now, you don't want to talk about it. You want to talk about Charlie Kirk so you can get people in trouble, so we can't tell you the truth about what you're really looking at. What you're really looking at is someone using someone's unfortunate demise, unfortunate opportunity to seize on, to lower the volume and make everybody else seem inferior. What's inferior than praising this man's life, pushing him up, and showing that open borders and communication is a good thing? Not open borders like coming from another country. Open borders for people to communicate. Because maybe you don't know what religion is. Charlie Kirk can help you with that. Obviously, he was so groundbreaking. Y'all can get some God in you. Can you get some Jewish in you? Did he like Jewish people? Did he like black? What did he like? And then if you're going to spew that he liked it something, why can't other people like it too? Why does it have to be on one side of the agenda all the time? So that narrative is why y'all ain't paying attention to where the revolt gonna come from. The revolt ain't gonna come from people getting mad because some young man passed away. Unfortunately, no fault of his own. Someone took his freedom of speech away from him. But at the same time, these same people that say your freedom of speech is being violated, or your decorum isn't up to the liking of another person, don't even worry about having that. Let's have a truthful conversation. Let's have a conversation that really helps people. Why are we having a conversation about somebody's demise that is totally out of their control? You know, I'm not celebrating something bad happening to somebody. I'm not even glorifying that it happened. But if that's the only thing the news is going to promote, then they're misleading you into deception in those communities that these taxpayers have to fork up the funds to keep these health care programs solvent. And why aren't we having that discussion? You having a discussion about everything else. Silence Johnny, silence Julie, silence Jim, silence this, all these distractions, lies, fabrication, misinformation. It's not even truthful. It's not even a little bit truthful. It's not even somewhat truthful. It's not even a iota of truth in the shit. But it's gravitating people to hate one another when there's really bigger issues at hand, like this map. This map doesn't show our unity as people with the Affordable Care Act, which the president, his name was Obama, signed into law. That is all Obamacare is supposed to represent. But if I use the word Obamacare in a racist, diabolical, divisive community, they will say, oh, I don't want that boy's health care. That boy ain't make that health care. He made those tax credits from states like Pennsylvania that can help you afford the health care you need in the states that don't have the money. So they incentivize the health care systems in the bigger states to help be a conglomerate in your little state. So I don't know why y'all keep getting caught up in the Affordable Care Act, because affordable to me is like groceries. So all of a sudden, one person gets eliminated from the mix, and we forget that the reason you put him in position is because you wanted cheaper groceries.